Welcome to Uplift Women's Wellness. I'm Bethany Bush, founder of Head to Toe Strength.
And I'm Aria Zahed, a licensed marriage and family therapist. We're here to empower and inspire women to thrive through holistic wellness.
Each week, we'll dive into topics like fitness, mental health, and personal growth.
And share real conversations and actionable insights to help you live your strongest, healthiest life.
Thanks for tuning in. Let's get started. The content in this episode is intended for informational and personal storytelling purposes only and should not be considered medical advice. Always consult with a qualified healthcare professional for medical concerns, diagnosis, or treatment. The views expressed are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect professional medical recommendations. This episode contains discussions of explicit medical content, including potentially sensitive topics related to health, injury, recovery, and wellness intervention. Listener discretion is advised. If medical topics feel heavy for you, consider engaging with this content when you're in the right headspace. If any topics resonate deeply or bring up concerns, seek guidance from a qualified healthcare professional.
So Ari and I have been having conversations about female friendships and how we don't do surface level female friendships, and we don't tolerate toxicity and we don't tolerate anything like that. And since you have been one of my girlfriends for a very long time that I do have very real conversations with, because we share some special scenarios that no one really understands, so we can kind of talk to each other realistically. In a way that isn't, hi, how are you? How are the kids? It's like, no, how are you doing? What's actually going on?
Right. I kind of want to start at the beginning, and just because rereading through like all my journal entries and things that I did, like it astounds me to this day how God put all the puzzle pieces together. Like, I'm sure you probably told Aria that my mom passed away from breast cancer. Let's see, that was 2003. So, yeah, it's been a spell. But because of that, I had to, after my second child, I had to start doing high-risk breast center stuff and start talking to specialists and start doing the mammograms, like, at 30 years old, had to start doing mammograms and all that fun stuff. And then they also recommended doing a yearly MRI, but she was like, well, just, it's expensive, so when you meet your deductible, let's do an MRI. In 2020, we met our deductible because I've been going through a lot of other crazy health stuff that, I talked to Bethany about too, like just the last 5 or so years have been a crazy journey for me. I had an exploratory surgery that year, so we met our deductible. So I was like, okay, let's do the first MRI. And so I went through that and everything looked fine in 2020. And still did. It was like, in an ideal world, they wanted me to do MRI and then 6 months later do 3D mammogram every year. Well, it doesn't happen every year because, like they said, it's expensive. So, fast forward 2022, Liam was on this rampage of breaking bones in his body. So, we met the deductible again that year, did the MRI again. And that was when I got the call back. Like, as soon as you pick up the phone and you hear, this is Dr. So-and-so, you're like, oh, crap.
Yep.
Seriously. Anytime it's a doctor actually calling you, it's never good. So they said they found this different blood flow pattern in my breast that was not there in the 2020 MRI. talking about these puzzle pieces, like, I hated all this health crap I was dealing with, but because I was going through all that stuff, it allowed me to have the first MRI. If I had had the first MRI, they would have had nothing to compare that MRI to, and would not, like, it was just a weird blood flow pattern. They probably would not have even second guessed it. That was just, like, God's providence, I feel like, in all of this. But the other crazy thing that, as I went back and reread something I wrote, like, I had forgotten years ago when I first started in this high-risk program, they had said, get genetic testing. And if that comes back clear, then you don't need to do mammograms, you don't need to do MRIs, you don't have to come back and see us. And with my breast cancer, when we got that diagnosis, they forced me to do genetic testing. Before, I had said, no, I'd rather not know. At that point in my life, like, I don't want to know. And so we just went on. But as I got breast cancer, then they're like, okay, you need to do the genetic testing. So, okay, let's do it. Came back all clear. Like, I didn't have BRCA1, not BRCA2, nothing that is associated with breast cancer that they know of right now. So if I had done that genetic testing years ago, we would have never found this. Like, wow. So we must have something genetic in my family, because my mom had it, then I got it, tested all clear, and then my older sister got it the exact same year, like a few weeks after me. And her genetic testing was all clear too. So there's got to be like some gene in there that they just haven't discovered yet. So yeah, that was just crazy. But I just feel like it was God's providence, all these little puzzle pieces working together to find this cancer, because they found it, like, I was the best case scenario possible. Like, they call it DCIS, stage 0 cancer, which just means it's cancer, but it hasn't left the duct yet. So it had not spread anywhere. So this is like the absolute best case scenario, which I was very thankful for. Then, at first when they call and say, we found cancer, it sounded like, oh, this will be easy peasy, like, we'll just go in and remove a little spot. Like, on the phone, it sounded like it's just a little spot, like, we caught it really early, it would be super simple. And then we met with the surgeon, and she's like, I would recommend a double mastectomy. And I'm like, what? This is not what I expected.
Talk about a shocker going into that doctor's appointment. Like, you're expecting basically a biopsy. And instead, no, we want to take them both. That would be the best idea, is to just chop them both off.
Yeah. Right. Which, I mean, she, in a way, still left it up to me. But she's like, if we just remove the spot, like, you'll be so deformed. Because I didn't have much boobage, and so I was very small. And she's like, you'd basically have nothing left if we removed it like that. So that just put me in kind of a shock mode. And it was very interesting in that meeting, because there was this one point where, like, I was very steady through the whole thing. I don't like crying in front of people. So, like, I kept it together and just, like, took in the information, and knew that afterwards I would probably have a total meltdown. But there was this one point where my surgeon just, like, stared at me and was like, I know you've gone through a lot of stuff and you're processing everything. And then she just, like, stared at me. It was almost like she was waiting for me to cry. And so, yeah, you stare at me long enough, I'm going to lose it. So I did. Like, is this what you wanted? Okay.
Am I giving you the emotional response that you needed that is acceptable for this situation? Good, I'm glad I met your needs.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So that was a rough day. But they, like, showed me the MRI, and so even though it was all in the duct, it was, like, from almost to the chest wall all the way to my nipple. She still left it up to me, like, we could just take the left side. That's where they found it, and not do the right. But I was like, well, if you're going to take one, you might as well just take both. Like, let's be done with it. So that was the plan when I left. And I think we were still in the parking lot when I think I texted you, Bethany. And it was really, really fresh. And I was distraught. And you're like, well, I'm coming. Just tell me when. I'm going to be there. I'm coming to help you in any way I can. So, yeah, you were there for me. Totally. But,
Always.
yeah.
Love you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, no, it's a non-negotiable. I'm like, okay, we're doing this. We're doing this together, but tell me when's the best time to be there, because I know that it's a process.
Right.
And showing up at your door, you might be grateful and then be like, cool, I don't need you right now. Great.
Right.
Awesome. Want to hang out? Because, that's like the knee-jerk reaction. Like, I'm coming, we'll work through the emotions together. And it's like, well, cool. Shouldn't you, ask me what I need rather than you doing, again, what you need to make you feel like you're doing your job?
Yeah, I think it was like a month after surgery, which is just what I needed. Like, the boys all went away to the cottage, and I just needed that time just hanging out with you, recovering, and yeah, it was fuel for the soul. So, yeah, because I didn't know, going into it, like, people talk about a double mastectomy all the time, and you just don't really have a clue what it's going to be like. So, yeah. Fortunately, I did have a cousin that just went through this whole process, and I just loved talking to her, because she was like, I'm going to tell you every little detail that I went through, and she was like an open book, and that was really refreshing and helpful. And some people don't want to know. Like, my sister didn't want to know everything going into it, and that's fine. But me, the more I know, the more prepared I feel, and less shock. But
well, then you kind of know what you're getting yourself into, rather than being like, that is very interesting to me, because I'm the same way. Like, I'll go watch my surgery on YouTube, wherever I can find it, before it's going to happen, because I want to know, because you're chopping into me.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're cutting into me with knives and a whole team of you, and it's like,
right.
No, I want to know what's going to happen, and then I want to know the potential outcomes, because, you wake up and you've got tubes, and you've got staples and stitches and everywhere, and you're like, oh. And then that's also mentally, jarring.
Right.
Because then, as we talked about in body image, you see yourself one way, and now...
Absolutely.
Now that's all gone.
Yep. That was the huge, huge impact. It still impacts me today. Before surgery, and thankfully it was a super fast process for me. We met with the surgeon, I think early April, and they were able to schedule my surgery April 29. So it was it was good, because I didn't have a lot of time to overthink, because I am an overthinker and worrier a lot. But yeah, they didn't give me a ton of details, but enough. We met with the plastic surgeon beforehand as well, which was very apprehensive, because apparently all the plastic surgeons in Grand Rapids are males. So it's just really, uncomfortable to talk to a man about what breast size you want. So an interesting conversation I had with him before my reconstruction, before surgery, I brought in my favorite style sports bra. And I said, okay, after surgery, I still need to fit in this sports bra. Like, I want to stay small. I had finally reached the point where I was really content in my body. Like, I hated my boobs my entire life until, like, maybe the year before this happened, and finally just felt comfortable in my body. So that was the hardest part for me, knowing that I'm not going to be the same. And so to try to make my point to him that I want to be as close to the same as possible, I brought my sports bra in. And when I told him that, he's like, oh, do you have a name for it? It's like, what? This is not a joke. Like, I'm just trying to tell you how I want it to be. I know, I see her wanting to get through.
She's like, I'm ready to throw fists right now.
Oh my God. Yeah. Incredibly disrespectful.
Well, just talk about, like, not even being remotely heard. Like, not even a little bit. Like, he literally took the most vulnerable moment, probably one of them, for a woman to be talking about how she wants her breast size, and he makes a joke?
Yep, I know.
Like, how are you, like, how is this even allowed? Like, how are men allowed to help cancer survivors reconstruct themselves?
Yep, I know.
If I take your penis and I go, well, do you have a name for it? What's his name? Like, if I take your penis and your balls, they're going to take it personally too, but they don't think about that when it's like, this is our only external organ.
Yeah.
All the rest of our organs are internal. This is our external femininity. Like, oh my God. It just...
Yep.
And I could obviously, we all know how Bethany feels about the healthcare industry, especially now, however many episodes deep we are. But it just solidifies, and it's like, it just makes me, and probably Aria too, like, cry and for you. Mm-hmm. Like, because I feel that.
Yeah.
In my soul. Like, I don't know what I would have said.
I think I was just, like, in shock. Like, I'd like to see what my face looked like when he said that. I don't think I even responded. I just couldn't believe it. Like, I thought it was being helpful, like, bringing my bra in to, you know, have him truly understand what size to go for. And, yeah, so... Yeah, that was not a good beginning stage with him, and our whole journey with him was quite rough for me. There's just a lot of, but, so kind of backtracking a little bit, but, you know, got through the mastectomy, not great. Like, my blood pressure dropped. It's a 5-hour surgery, and you've got 2 surgeons, so plastic surgeon and my breast surgeon are in there at the same time. Like, breast surgeon is taking everything off, and then the plastic surgeon is putting in these expanders that are like wearing Tupperware under your skin.
I love it every single time you use that, like, reference. Every single day, because I see that, like, 1970s orange bowl thing that you suck the top onto, and it's like, it's just such, I love how you say it, because it is the perfect mental picture of, like, as a kid, you're like, look, Mom, I've got bibbies!
Yeah, and it's true, it feels like Tupperware. I mean, it's like this foreign object under your skin, and they're huge. Like, that was another... Like, as soon as I woke up from surgery, it's like, oh, no, what is this? Like, this is way too big already. So, yeah, it was difficult to get used to. So, one of the things, like, about me, since I always hated my breasts, you know, and Bethany knows this, too, like, I would wear layers and layers. Like, I would have my sports bra on and then have, like, a tank top on underneath and then have whatever shirt I was wearing for the day over that. Like, I don't want to feel anything bounce, ever. And so I would always be, like, really, had a tight bra on, all that stuff. Well, funny thing, after surgery, you're not allowed to wear a bra for 6 months. So that was like, oh crap, how am I going to get through this? But the ideal part about them being Tupperware is they don't move. So it really helped me a lot. I could wear a tank top and not feel uncomfortable without a bra underneath.
And you're not going to be nipping either.
Exactly. Expansion process was interesting.
And what can you, sorry, Linz, can you break down why they have to do that? Like, what they told you of why they need to put your Tupperware inside of you?
Right, yeah. So with, if you don't have breast cancer, I'm not sure if it's exactly the same way that they do things. Like, people that do it because they're high risk, I don't know if it works the same way. But for me, because you have cancer, we need to scrape out, like, as much tissue as possible. Like, all I had left was a really thin layer of skin. Plus, they put some cadaver skin in me. But so that layer of skin is so thin and fragile, and you're cutting all these blood vessels, so many blood vessels, and you need all of that to heal and regrow. So they put these expanders in because you can't do double mastectomy and put in implants right on the same day, because you need that blood flow to heal and reconnect. So that's why they start with these expanders that, they're not full of anything yet, even though they still feel huge. Like, I felt like my skin was really stretched just over the expanders, which I don't know. He didn't really explain to me. I don't know if it's just they only have one size of expander or if there are multiple sizes, but since I'm so small on top, like, that was a stretch. So then, because you need that blood flow to reconnect and regrow, it has to be a really slow process of just, like, when I started the expansion process, like, that was probably a few weeks after surgery, several weeks, somewhere in there. Then I just fill, like, 50 cc's at a time.
Of saline?
Of saline, yeah. And they just keep doing that. Like, I think I had, like, one appointment each week to fill, which I stopped at 100. So I only had 2 appointments of filling. And that was the other thing with this wonderful plastic surgeon. He had told the nurse that the second filling he wanted her to do, like, 75 to 100, like, get me to 150. And I talked to the nurse. My nurse, Amber, was, like, my savior in all of this. Because...
Of course, Amber is a female, right? She's a woman.
Yeah.
And you have a female nurse.
Yeah, and she understood. Like I said, I'm really concerned. I don't want to be too big. And so she just filled it to 100, and she's like, that will give you an A cup. I was like, okay, perfect. Let's do that. Let's stop there. So thankfully, God gave me her to help me through it, because I would have been a mess otherwise. Because I heard a story from someone that her sister, I don't think she went to my doctor, but another plastic surgeon, like, didn't really, I guess, talk to her about her choices, and ended up giving her a huge boobs that she didn't really ask for. Like, these men, I feel like, are just, it's ingrained in their head that every woman wants big boobs. and like that's what they think looks good, so they're using their best judgment and not leaving it to the patient to decide, here's what I'm comfortable with. Like that was my battle the entire way through. So yeah.
One is Aria and I have previously spoken to how vital women are and how women are in these types of positions in nursing. Because, like you said, who is going to advocate for you when the person doing the chopping and the filling and the moving and the doesn't own them? And Ari and I both are quite heavy-chested women, and we understand, like, it would be shocking for someone, and your frame, too. Like, you don't have the frame for it. Like, we genetically, this is part of our lives. Parents, grandparent, mother, grandparent, not father, oops. But, like, genetically, we knew that was coming. But for you, that's like, whose body is this?
Right, yeah.
You know, it's just like, and to have to, and God save nurses, because, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
They're the reason I think more people actually, like, get stuff accomplished.
Right.
When they go to the doctor, and especially, like, you and I are both very familiar with cancer, and I don't remember a single male doctor that was a positive experience, to the point where I do not seek out male. With all of my doctors, they must be a woman.
She was my lifesaver. I think, like, later down the road when I had a follow-up with my doctor and Amber wasn't there. This was, like, after reconstruction, and I was not happy. I was not happy with the results. We'll get into more of that, but so this was, like, an appointment to reevaluate and, like, basically tell them what I think. And Amber was not there when, like, some other nurse brought me into the room and then, like, acted like she didn't know why I was even there. What was my appointment for? And I was like, is Amber here? I was like, I need Amber. She's like, oh, let me go check. And thankfully she was there. And so she came to my rescue, because I was like, seriously? They don't even know why I'm here? Like, it was just, a nightmare. But yeah, I will say, like, for women who are going through this, like, my story is not everybody's story. So my sister had a female plastic surgeon, God bless her. Like, she had a much better experience.
Yeah, but I'm sure if we ran the numbers, and I meant to run the numbers too about, like, about cancer in women and da-da-da-da-da, but I forgot. And I'm sure if we ran numbers, you're probably the majority.
Probably.
Your sister's probably the minority, because for some reason, dudes are so obsessed with women's bodies that they also then go to school for, like, over a decade to then manipulate, cut, add, change. It's like, what? Mm-hmm. Like, you went to school, like, and I could go off on a tirade, because it's like, I'm sorry, I don't think a man should be allowed to reconstruct a woman who's been through breast cancer.
Yeah, I know. I mean, there's some men that probably have a much better bedside manner, but I don't know. I think part of being a plastic surgeon is, like, to make someone into the optimal, like, most beautiful in their perspective person, you know? So I feel like there needs to be a different kind of plastic surgeon for these kind of situations.
Agreed. And with where we live, where Ari and I live, like, you could, I don't know, throw a stone and hit 5 people who have cut in, chopped into, moved, lifted, whatever.
Yeah.
And I doubt any of them went to a woman and said, hey, I'm thinking about X, Y, or Z.
Right.
Because here, too, it's common, from what I'm hearing, for teenage females to get breast implants.
Wow.
and mothers are supportive and take them, and Aria's shaking her head yes, because this is a common thing here in Southern California.
Yes, I was going to say breast implants and nose jobs were graduation presents, like high school graduation presents in Orange County, a lot.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think with the bedside manner that you were talking about, Lindsay, if someone is going to be a reconstructive plastic surgeon in this way, I think they should get very specialized training.
Right.
And learn some empathy and some sympathy and be a part of the process, not just go into plastic surgery, everyone needs to look like a movie star mode. That is completely different surgery than reconstructive surgery.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
And there needs to be warmth and kindness because they're not teaming up to make you, quote unquote, look better. You're teaming up because you're healing from something.
Mm-hmm.
That is different than women walking in and being like, I don't like this, fix it.
Right.
The attitudes need to be completely different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. That was definitely the thing I noticed too. And going through it, like, I don't know, maybe if you just get implants, it's a different process. But I'm like, why would anybody want to do this? This is horrible.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so, like, you know, day one after the double mastectomy, I actually had to stay over in the hospital because my blood pressure dropped too low. And they just kept pumping me with fluids. So by the time I got home, like, you know, my chest felt awful and huge. But my whole body, it was like I was wearing this fat suit. Like, that's what I felt like. And I was like having panic attacks. Like, I expected to lose my chest, but I didn't expect my whole body to, you know.
Like you stepped inside of another human.
Yeah.
Like you completely like shed, like I'm picturing like you took your skin off and then like you stepped into another person, but you kept your brain.
Right. Yeah. That's what it felt like.
Is the only thing I could like try and equate it to.
Yeah.
And then the drains on top of that. So I think I had 2 drains, one for each side. And you have to like clean them. I think to start, it's like 2 times a day, 2 or 3 times a day.
Do you mind describing them like in detail for people who don't know what it means to have drains?
Yeah, I can try. Like, you basically have, I'm trying to think what I can compare it to. It's this little tiny tube. And I know I've seen them on other things before that are not human bodies. So I'm trying to think what it's just like your standard clear little tube that is inside your breast, and then it comes out of your body into this little bag that is just letting all the built-up fluid drain out. Because if you don't have that, then you have risk of, all this fluid buildup, and that can cause more problems. So yeah, it's a really, really fun process. I basically lived in this big oversized sweatshirt for the first few weeks, and with these little bags that this sweatshirt had big pockets. I could stick the bags in, and my wonderful husband, like, God bless him, he was a rock star through the whole thing, and he took care of all my drains because, like, I think my sister drained them herself, and I have no idea how she did it. Like, I would not be able to maneuver and figure that out. Somehow she did, but I'm thankful that I had a good man by my side to do that for me. And my cousin that had been through it, like, she came over, I don't know, like maybe 2 or 3 days after surgery, just looked at everything, like, kind of gave us a better idea of, like, what should we be looking for, does this drain look right? Like, is it supposed to look like that? And she was super helpful at, reassuring us that everything looked good, which I feel like they did prepare us somewhat at the hospital for how to do this, but things come up and you have questions as you're healing, and you get weird looking stuff in the drains, and so yeah, it's a fun process. Thankfully, I only had 2 drains. I know other people that have had like 3 or 4 when they're out. Yeah, I can't imagine having more than I did. So, yeah, that was fun. I mean, you're still, like, we went to the grocery store, I think, a couple times, and I've got these drains, like, in my pockets as we're going. Like, okay, this is cool. Yeah, it's a whole new world after surgery like that. A lot of things you don't expect, but thankfully mine, I think, came out maybe 2 weeks after surgery, so I didn't have them super long, which was good. But that was interesting, getting them out. Like, Amber was there, and she took them out, and she's like, just take a deep breath in, and then blow out really, really slow, and that's when I'm going to pull it. Like, I didn't realize how much was in my body. Like, this tube was, like, wrapped all around my breast, and so, yeah, it's something. Yeah, it takes a lot to get used to, but, yeah. But in the meantime, like, my fat suit was eventually coming down too, and I started, I think, basically, like, when I got the drains out, I started feeling a little more like myself, like, back in my body.
But weeks where you're like,
yeah.
Whose body am I in right now?
Yeah.
You're, stuffed full of saline and fluid, and you're leaking, and you're draining, and you're peeing, and then it hurts to stand up, and it hurts to do anything, and like, weeks of that, like, psychologically, like, Aria, how would you even, like, how would you even come to a person, like, if a patient or a client came to you and said, like, what are you even taught to do with that type of mindset?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, when you were listing it that way, Bethany, I was like, trauma. Like, that's its own, like, that is really, really, really difficult. And yeah, I mean, you don't feel like and you're in pain, and you're going through something that was already traumatic in itself, like this surgery. It's a lot. That is a lot.
And I don't think it's necessarily talked about that way. It's like, you survived.
Yes.
I've now had months, years, weeks, and decades of big T trauma. Like, cool, toxic positivity, the fact that I'm a cancer survivor into next week. But now you came home, and I don't expect you to ever process through that fully.
Yeah, I feel like I might never. I'm still grieving my old body. What a joy.
It's great to be born a woman. It's fantastic. And,
Yeah, I actually, soon after surgery, I called one of my friends. I was like, can you go to the thrift store and get a bunch of baggy pants? Nothing fit. It just felt awful. Like, thankfully, I was surrounded by a lot of people that cared and would do crazy things for me.
You mean the bare minimum, not crazy. You mean like, hey, can you go buy me oversized clothing? Or like, hey, I need you to whatever. Like, it's sad that you even say that it's crazy.
I know. I'm one of those people that hates asking for help.
We all are. All 3 of us are the same.
Yeah.
Can't take compliments, can't take help. All 3 of us are the same.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but after my drains, I was like, I'm a fitness instructor, and it was really hard. Being stuck in that fat suit was immensely hard for my mental state. So you have 6 weeks of recovery with double mastectomy. I mean, that's the doctor's orders for your body to recover.
Air quotes.
Yeah.
Just like after pregnancy, you have 6 weeks, air quotes.
Right, yeah. But it was like, okay, I can't move my arms much, but I can move my legs. So I'm like, I can do some squats. I can do something. I gotta move. So slowly I started like on my backyard patio, just grooving. I'm a groove instructor, which is dance fitness, but so just doing like 4 songs of gentle movement and slowly getting my mobility back and my mind back. Like, dance is my therapy for sure. So that was really healing, and just finding this new movement, because before I was just all high fit all the time, like dance your butt off to get a high cardio workout. And now it was like, okay, I feel like groove taught me how to tune into my body and listen to my body. So I was able to kind of do my own like physical therapy by moving gently and slowly and gaining my range of motion back. So that was like a beautiful part of the journey, and just kind of finding this gentle way of movement.
Because movement doesn't have to be high-intensity cardio 100% of the time.
Who knew?
Who would have thunk it? Oh my gosh. Slow, methodical, just move. Just move. That's all you gotta do.
Yeah.
Move. Don't die.
Right.
Just move. And actually do something that brings your heart joy.
Yes, it is so good. So good. I feel like there was something we were talking about before that brought something to my mind, and I can't remember exactly. Something about like how people don't really understand. Oh yeah, that's what it was. Like the depth of a double mastectomy, and like when, you got all the cancer off, you're good to go, awesome, don't complain about anything, you're a cancer survivor, you don't need chemo or radiation, so yay, your journey is done. Like, I don't think anyone in my life would actually say that to me. That's just like thoughts that I had in my head. Like, I felt like there was this pressure that, okay, I should be super grateful, because this was really the best case scenario, and they were able to just chop it off and be done with it. So there was a lot of kind of this underlying guilt, feeling like I should just be thankful and move on, and I know, it feels like sometimes when you have cancer, so this is kind of weird, but it's the truth. When you have cancer, you get a lot of sympathy. And people are reaching out to you, and that's great. But then it's like, once your cancer is gone, or you're dealing with other health issues that might be, kind of, you don't talk about, and then you don't get as much sympathy, and then you just feel like you're just complaining all the time. So I was kind of stuck in that, like, because I knew other people were going through chemo and had all this stuff, and even now I get the comment of, like, I had DCIS stage 0 cancer, and people are like, oh, so you didn't really have cancer? Yeah. So that's like a punch to the gut.
So you didn't have the right cancer, so you didn't have enough cancer, so I don't have to emotionally make space for you because you didn't really have cancer, so mentally I don't need to, like, say something kind to then make myself feel better because you didn't actually really do it or have it. So I'm in the clear. Mind you, listeners, I'm being extremely, extremely pedantic and whatever other things you could call me, because this is not how I think. But I and Lindsay and I have been touched by cancer for a very long time. And even though I haven't been through that, I can also empathize and sympathize and feel that.
Right.
Of how, like, you didn't get sick enough.
Yeah. Yeah. I still feel that way, kind of like, people are telling me, oh, I know this person with cancer and she's going to have a double mastectomy and, like, chemo and radiation and stuff. And I'll be like, yeah, I had the double mastectomy. I can talk to her if you want, but, I didn't have chemo or radiation. And then it just feels like, oh, like, you didn't go through that much. I mean, you just had the surgery and you're good. That's what it feels like. I don't know that people are actually thinking these thoughts. It's just like the way my brain works.
Well, is that the vibe that's coming off, though? Like, when you're talking to someone, are you watching their micro-expressions change when you just say, oh, I didn't have radiation or chemo, but I did have the double mastectomy? Because if you're watching someone's whole entire face go, oh... You're gaslighting yourself, and you're saying that, like, oh, no, it's just me. And Aria can speak to this all day long of how we do this to ourselves.
Yeah.
But if you're feeling it, your gut's right.
Yeah. Yeah. And I also feel like this is why it's so important to talk about the surgery piece. Because it is just like, oh, you got the surgery, you're in the clear, like a biopsy, like getting a mole removed kind of biopsy. Like, right. I feel like that's what people are envisioning. But it is a massive surgery with a massive recovery. And even now, Lindsay, you're saying, like, I'm still not comfortable with my body. Like, and that might last forever. Like, this is a big deal in itself.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's kind of what I had to learn, too. Like, this is a big deal. Like, I went through a little bit of therapy along the way too, just learning that, I am in the grieving process, and it was traumatic. Like, 6-week recovery. Oh, at the end of 6 weeks, you're fine. No, that actually doesn't work that way.
Funny. You just chopped off some organs, and now you're going to be fine at 6 weeks. Yeah.
Well, that was the other, conversation I kept having with my husband, too. Like, I basically had an amputation.
Yes. Double amputation.
But when people go through this, I don't think anyone looks at it that way. So you don't get the same degree of maybe compassion as someone who just had a leg cut off or something. And, the reason I thought of it as an amputation was because I had those phantom pains. Like, it was crazy. I would be somewhere and all of a sudden I feel like this tingling in my nipples. Wait a minute, I don't have any nipples. Like, it was really, really crazy. And I get like an itch that I cannot scratch because it's not really there, but it sure, it's just this really
because your brain
bizarre.
Still thinks it's there. Yeah, those nerve endings, those neurons, like your brain, even though you chopped them off, the whole entire nerve ending into your CNS didn't go with it. It's not like you went, all right, pull the plug.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Let's pull that out of the central nervous system right quick. All right, that nerve, all right, let's go. All right, that nerve, all right, that's going to your right nipple center.
Yeah, it's nuts.
And that is really why I wanted and graciously offered or asked to have you, and you graciously accepted to do this, because I want to have the conversations that you should have had.
Right.
And should have had access to, because we've got thousands of listeners so far. Thank you so much for that. And there is not going to be no women, if that makes any sense, who aren't going to hear this and be like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right.
Like, how would you feel if, you could have had access to something like this?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Just the feeling of not being alone. Like, I'm not the only one experiencing these thoughts, these feelings. Like, wow, I didn't expect it to be this intense,
Yeah.
Well, and it's no matter what, like you said, it's a double amputation, it's a trauma, it's grieving a life that you didn't have. It's also like, oh my gosh, I thought I was going to die, potentially could be going through chemo, radiation, and then if it can come back, or like there's that constant fear, and then now you have to do new checks because of the cancer risk that you have, that we have in our families. Now you have a different type of cancer checks to be doing. So it's like, so you chopped your boobs off and you were stage 0. You still had it. That fear is not gone.
Right.
Those feelings, whether people want to admit them or not, they're still very much a part of you, of your everyday life. Mm-hmm. And you have a husband and a family. So like, these are things that it's your like never ending trauma circle.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I'm sure, like, Bethany, you can probably identify with this, but it's like any pain or anything I have in my body, it's like, oh, I wonder if it's cancer.
Aria gets mad at me all the time because I'm like, well, I'm going to be dead in 10 years from cancer anyway, so it's like, I don't see the point, because it's like, I already have, so basically what my therapist and I have called it is I have an expiration date. And it's just like, I'm counting down to the days till I expire. Because in my mind, you don't live. I mean, you and I have been touched in too many ways by too much crap. But I feel like cancer, you're kind of getting the same side of it. Where it's like, oh, you're fine. You just had the...
Yeah. 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 That's what it feels like a lot. Well, and like, I have that guilt of like feeling sorry for myself when now my stepmom is in stage 4 and going through the chemo every day, and she'll be on chemo the rest of her life. And yeah, so it's like that guilt of I had it easy,
quote unquote.
It wasn't easy, but it's a crazy journey. But another, thing with the double mastectomy that you don't always talk about is you don't get feeling back in your breasts.
So it's just numb.
Probably never. Yeah, it's basically numb. Like, I could probably cut myself with a scissors and not feel it. So, yeah. So I went from feeling like I had Tupperware inside of me to now it feels like I have water balloons inside of me. Yeah. Honestly, after my reconstruction, I was like, oh, can I have the Tupperware back? Yeah. I was seriously still now. Just yesterday, I was laying out on my patio on my stomach and just like, oh, this feels so weird. I don't like it. Like, they don't smush.
You can't like flop them off to the side, or they don't like smoosh into you.
It's just like I'm laying on top of 2 like of those stress balls. Not water balloons, but stress balls.
Oh my gosh, that's worse. So much worse.
It's like I am now laying on a foam roller permanently when I lay on my stomach. Just So now you just walk around with a foreign body in you, and you're reminded on the regular basis that you have a foreign body inside of you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, you're never not reminded.
Yeah.
And it all circles back to everything that you went through.
Mm-hmm.
Forever.
Yep.
Yes. But also important, as we were talking about people who were commenting and saying, well, like, you didn't have it that bad, Lindsay. Like, people also need to monitor that. Like, it is fair to be empathetic to each individual person you meet, to each of their stories. Mm-hmm. They should also not be comparing.
Right. Yeah, that is an interesting journey when you're going through stuff to hear what other people say to you. Sometimes I can't even remember, but I know people said some weird things to me, and I was just like, oh, okay. But it does make you more aware, like, oh, what have I said in the past? Like, be more conscious. My favorite thing, right after I found out I had to have the double mastectomy, and I was, texting everybody, family, friends, to let them know. And, everybody's so gracious and kind, and I'm praying for you, and everything's going to be fine. You'll get through this, all, the positive stuff, which, that's great. But I had one friend text me back. She's like, well, that sucks. I was like, oh, thank you. Thank you for just being in the space with me. Like, this sucks. Can we just mourn it for a minute and not try to be super positive? Like, this just sucks. Let me cry about it. Let me live in that for a moment.
Well, it also, and Aria, you can correct me if I'm wrong, it makes people uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And no one wants to go there with you. Because it's like it's an icky feeling.
Right.
And so, but that's all that you want. You want someone to be like, all right, this fucking sucks. Let's talk about all the things that suck.
Yeah.
I'm puffy. I'm this. I've got Tupperware inside of me. I now have no nipples. I now have an incision across both sides of my body. So I look like, I don't know, a face on my chest, I'm thinking of like the smiley faces we used to draw as kids, where you draw the straight lines across for the eyes and then the mouth.
Yep.
Or like the emojis that have the straight line eyes. So like every time you look in the mirror, thank you, like you said, like thank you. Yeah. Can we just sit here in the shit for a while?
Right.
And talk about it? Like, can you actually be that kind of a friend for me? Mm-hmm. Where we're going to sit here in the mud, in the icky, in the uncomfortable, in the stinky.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to be there. Like, I'm not going to be anything. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to be there.
Yeah. Yeah. And, like, when you get so many comments like that, like, for me, I'm a Christian, a firm believer in God, and my faith has carried me through this. But when everybody responds with, all that, just have faith, we're praying, like, God will take care of you, and all this stuff, and it kind of makes, like, as a Christian, sometimes I think we feel like we always have to be positive about everything, and just always, yep, God is faithful, and he'll bring me through it, and, he's going to give me joy on the journey, and it's just all going to work out just fine. I love Jesus, but we don't always have to be these, like, over positive people. And, like, on my journey, God was so faithful in Scripture, and, one thing, like, I go to the Psalms all the time, and David was, like, lay it all out on the table. I'm gonna tell you, God, when it sucks. Like, how long, oh Lord? Like, that, I am so in the Psalms, because it takes you on this huge, we're on this huge emotional journey, and I feel like I'm sick of just being that fake positive all the time. Like, when I reread, I did, the care page thing. And a lot of people that I read, it's always super positive. Like, we're so thankful for this and that. And when I reread it, I was like, oh, wow, I was really like, okay, this is what's up. Like, TMI, but not doing so hot over here. Like, just be real, people. Yeah, I have always appreciated when people are real with me. Like, if I have a pastor that is just, like, real, like, I screwed up, I did this. Like, I appreciate that far more than the person that says, I went through this, but I had so much faith, and God just so good and so faithful. And, ultimately that is still my story. But let's be real, like, it was not a walk in the park. Like, he held my hand the whole time, but it wasn't like, yay, let's go on this journey.
Well, you had your moments and your times where you were, like, screaming and crying and bawling and yelling and, like, when the boys weren't at home and you could just, like, not have to be a mom for a little while and just take it all off and just let your rawness out, because also you're a mom and you're a woman. So then now you've got a shield, and we're supposed to keep all that stuff under wraps because we have to keep our cool and keep ourselves together. So now, like, you're processing 50 billion different thoughts and can't show them because you don't want to scare your kids. And you don't, like, and as a child of a loss of a parent from cancer, so then it's like, well, how do I not do, and I just feel like, I'm hoping, because this is how Lindsay and I talk on the reg, and when I did come over after those however many weeks, it was like, all right, now tell me what the fuck's really going on. Like, can you just actually talk? Like, and we were up all, like, so late and so long, because it would just, like, we'd sit, we'd watch movies, we'd go, like, I'd go pick up food, or she'd come with me with her little breast cancer pillow, for the seatbelt, and it was like, but it's like, can you just exist with me, and, like, if you want stuff to just fall out of your mouth, let it fall out of your mouth, because I am not here to show up for myself.
Yeah.
Like, what do you need? Mm-hmm. And how can I be it? And please tell me if I'm not being it. Because, and I really hope that comes through in this conversation, and we get women who do the whole, like, oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Because, and again, it's a never-ending thing for you. You've had the reconstruction. You're quote-unquote through it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You were double BRCA negative.
Yeah.
You did the genetic testing. You did all the things. Now, were you older or younger than your mom?
So I was older.
You were older.
Got it at 35. So, I passed 35, and I was like, oh, all right, maybe I missed the bullet on this. No.
Right,
Just
yeah.
a few years later.
Yep. And I feel like as cancer kids, and I love how you said you missed the bullet, because it's like having a shotgun, constantly pointed at your face, just waiting for it to go off.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing I want women to understand is, like, the reconstruction process is hard. Like, it is a much easier surgery, but if you're like me and they decide to do liposuction out of your legs, like, you can't sit down on the toilet comfortably for several weeks. Like, it is super painful. But it's this whole journey. I think my big takeaway from it all is that it was more a mental, emotional journey than physical. Like, the physical was really hard, and there's a lot of ups and downs. But mentally, having body parts taken off and foreign objects put in, it just really messes with your mental state, your self-image, and the fact that these are two big surgeries, 6 months apart. And I'm finding, like, if you're like me, apparently my body does not respond well to all the drugs and the anesthesia. So, like, I read something, because I started thinking, like, I feel like these surgeries are putting me into a tailspin of depression. And I did read something that if you are more prone to depression, that sometimes that anesthesia will have that effect. So it's not in 6 weeks, you're good to go. It's like this long mental journey. So that's kind of the big process, and I'm still processing it, like I said. So
Yeah. Well, thank you, Lindsay, for sharing. When you were talking, I absolutely heard the mental journey aspect of it. So thank you for putting that out there, because I really believe in our society, women are looked at as just their bodies. And here's an example of someone surviving cancer, going through a surgery. Okay, Lindsay, you're put back together, and now you have a lifetime of like internal struggle that no one is privy to, because they're just like, oh, you look great.
yes,
It's not, it is so different. And I think a lot of women in general, not just people who've survived things, but in general, women kind of like hide emotional turmoil.
yes.
And they're just looked at as like visual, objects meandering around. But there's so much, like, as a mom, in this case, Lindsay, because you are a mom, you had to hide a lot all the time, and it makes it even more internal.
Right.
And so I'm definitely getting the vision. So you've explained it very well, and thank you for opening up so much.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate it. I know you're going to help a lot of people, and even if people do not get diagnosed with cancer, you are going to help people be there in supportive, kind ways for people who do have that diagnosis and do have to go through steps to battle.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us on Uplift Women's Wellness.
We're so grateful to have you as part of our community. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone who needs it.
Follow us on social media for updates and extra inspiration between episodes.
And remember, you're stronger, braver, and more capable than you know. Until next time,
Stay strong, stay empowered, and keep uplifting each other.